I'm looking forward this year to making lots more of the polyculture and guild videos. I know a lot of folks have been interested in those, and I definitely want to make more videos in the spirit of really neat mutualistic and beneficial guilds that we've discovered over the years. But I thought I would start this spring with a guild that I would distinctly not recommend people enter into or explore, and I'll explain more in this video. There is a lot happening in front of me here. This is just to the west of my folks' home here. And so it casts late day shade from this big overstory element. This is the keystone element in this guild. This is a chestnut tree, mainly Chinese, probably some other genetics in there. This is the character who we are hoping to have be here for the long run. And that's a great element. I love chestnuts, they're wonderful. And overstory trees in a guild makes a lot of sense. Let me call out some other characters that I think are beneficial. There is a pawpaw here. This is to the south and west. They're tucked in with the idea that they're getting shade from the pine trees overhead. They're an understory, mid-succession, tall shrub, small tree element. I like that in there as well. Those work together really nicely. Just let me say one thing. This pruning, in case you're wondering what the heck is going on, I pruned these this winter to get them out of the way. We're going to wait till things warm up and do the last cut so that it can callus in a clean way. I'd be interested to hear folks' opinions on that, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's a side note, in case you're wondering why there's random sticks coming out of the chestnut. The element in here that I distinctly would not do again if I had an opportunity is the addition of a hardy kiwi. This character here, this is Actinidia arguta with a hardy kiwi. This happens to be a male plant that I put in a number of years ago. I was inspired by what I saw at Triplebrook Nursery. If you're anywhere near Southampton, Massachusetts, you should check them out. Really amazing perennial plant nursery. So I got the hardy kiwi from Steve Breyer there, and I saw an example of a really old pairing of a hardy kiwi on a red maple that was really destructive of the red maple, but really intriguing because fruit just rained down from it. And so I added this male hardy kiwi next to the chestnut and said, okay, they can just trellis and grow on the chestnut. The chestnut will hold them up. It'll be a great combo. But what has happened is that the male kiwi, and this is, I think, true for any of the hardy kiwis. I do not know if this is true for Arctic kiwi. Folks can share in the comments if this is the case. But basically what you're seeing here are the scars. This is the management that I've had to do now for years and years. You can see these banding marks. This is the male kiwi after one season or two seasons twining up into the chestnut. So they're leveraging the chestnut's body as a trellis to grow, and that part's cool, but they expand every year. And so it's like an anaconda. It's like a throttling grip that they put on the tree. And without my management, without cutting this pretty much every year, you can see what I'm going through and cutting. Without that, this chestnut would almost certainly die. So there's some notes here. The first thing I want to make very clear, this does not translate in my mind, and I hope it doesn't in yours, that male hardy kiwi is therefore an evil, bad plant. It is just a plant that was misplaced. I should not have associated them with a keystone tree that I cared about. Now let's say we were further out in the woods and there was a single tree that was on its way towards dying, or for example, this giant old cherry tree, this grandma cherry tree, nearly passed away. It's right on the edge of dying. She will die probably in the next year or two. Maybe a hardy kiwi associated with a tree that's very near death could be an interesting companion or a way to kill the tree. I don't know that I would do that either, but certainly associated with a tree I care about and that I want to be in this landscape well into my old age and certainly for future generations, it is not compatible. The kiwi belongs on their own static trellis, a good, sturdy black locust trellis or something like that they can be pruned and not be near trees we care about, but it is not a bad plant because of that. So for now, we'll leverage the benefits that still exist here. We would like to propagate more hardy kiwi to share with folks if there's interest in growing them, and we'll keep sharing notes of what we think is great about them and also what we think is really challenging about their behaviors in a landscape. And so this is an opportunity to keep the male kiwi cut to around human height. You can see I've gone through and done a fair bit of pruning this morning, and we will take hardwood cuttings of anybody that's trying to get up into the chestnut and propagate them, and then suggest to people that they make sure they put them on trellises or somewhere where they are not going to predate and consume the overstory. In the meantime, I will try to make some time this spring or summer to build some really nice black locust trellis systems. Juan and I will probably build some out in the woods here with a nice space between that and any trees nearby. Get some good photocopies of male and female varietal hardy kiwis associated to that trellis, and once they're nicely established, they begin producing. We'll take another few rounds of cuttings and then finally just start the process of erasing this being. We're not going to use sprays, we're not going to dig them up because we have other trees nearby that we care about. We'll simply start cutting them every few weeks during the growing season for probably 2 years, and that should erase them from this guild. And we'll think about a vining layer that dies back to the ground each year, or simply leave the vining layer out of this already complex enough tree and shrub guild. So it's a little investigation into one component of one guild in this landscape that I certainly wouldn't do again. And pause here. I'd ask for questions and comments, concerns, ideas. Share those. Let's all have some dialogue. How have you worked with either Arctic kiwi or hardy kiwi in a landscape that you find to be at least mutualistic, if not beneficial and functional, and not wrapped with huge amounts of management burden? We're going to dig in deeper into some of these other extremely complex, really funky experimental guilds as they start to leaf out over time. Let us know if there's some particular topics in this realm you'd like to explore in greater detail. I'd be happy to do it. This is kind of my main jam, is the high density, high plant interrelationship world. It's wild, it's feral, but it's pretty darn functional. Anyway, that's enough for today. Thanks for watching.